I'm Daniel Levine, and this is the Bio Report.
One of the challenges of treating brain cancer and other diseases of the central nervous system is delivering therapeutics beyond the blood-brain barrier. NeOnc Technologies is using a natural compound derived from essential oils and plants that not only can kill cancer cells, but can cross the blood-brain barrier. What's more, it can transport other therapies as well. We spoke to Thomas Chen, founder and CEO of NeOnc, about brain cancer, how the blood-brain barrier complicates the delivery of therapies to treat the condition, and how its experimental candidate works.
All comers. So whether you have a primary brain cancer or you have a metastatic brain cancer, we're undergoing trials with a phase 1. And basically this trial is what we call a dose escalating trial. And so we have patients that we're now done with what we call cohort 3. And now we're progressing to cohort 4. And we have not reached maximal tolerated dose yet. But what will happen is that once we reach the maximal tolerated dosage, or MTD, we will then be able to progress this to a phase 2 trial. But one thing that I want to say is what we have done, besides the fact that it's very safe to be given orally, is that we have had good responses to it from the standpoint of MRI imaging. And we also have very good data showing that the toxicity that we get with taking it orally can be explained by the fact that the temozolomide does not break down in the bloodstream. Because what happens with temozolomide is that temozolomide breaks down into the toxic metabolite AIC, and this AIC circulates to the rest of the body, and that's how it affects the bone marrow, because temozolomide, one of its toxicities is it can knock out your bone marrow. Now what we did with our NeO212 patients, they took it orally. We drew blood from them to test for whether there's AIC present in the bloodstream. And these patients that were taking AIC, NeO212 orally, they had minimal quantities of AIC in their bloodstream. In some of them, they were just not detectable. And that's why I think that when a patient takes NeO212, that's why they don't get bone marrow toxicity. When our trial patients were taking NeO212 and we measured them for their white count and stuff like that, there was no change in their white counts. It was absolutely stable. Now the other thing I want to tell you about NeO212 that I feel is a very strong advantage. I alluded to the fact that not all patients will respond to temozolomide. And that's because of the fact that some patients have a gene called MGMT. MGMT, like the blood-brain barrier, is that normally could be a good thing. It basically takes any DNA damage that you can suffer and tries to repair it. And so what temozolomide does is that it causes DNA damage. The MGMT enzyme that's present in the tumors then repairs it. And so it makes temozolomide ineffective. Now, what we find with NeO212 is that because we're getting so much drug into the tumor cell, it overwhelms that MGMT repair enzyme that is present in these patients. And so patients that are MGMT positive or MGMT negative, they both will have a response to NeO212.
NeOnc completed an $18.5 million financing in June. This included $4.5 million in new equity investment and conversion of all of the outstanding notes held by your lenders. How are the funds being used?
Almost all the funds are used for, three main uses. One is clinical trials. This company currently has 4 clinical trials that we are conducting. And these 4 clinical trials is the phase 2A clinical trial that I mentioned for NeO100. We also have a phase 2 trial for patients with what we call malignant glioma, meningiomas. And meningiomas are the most common type of benign brain tumor in the brain, but they can also become malignant. And so we have a phase 2 trial for that. We have a phase 1 trial for the NeO212 that I've been talking to you about. And then we have a phase 1 trial for pediatric oncology. And this is going to be done with our Pediatric Neuro-Oncology Consortium. But it's an intranasal delivery of NeO100 for children with pediatric pontine gliomas. And so most of the money that we have raised has been basically going into recruiting sites, recruiting patients, and also working with our CRO for getting these trials accomplished. The other use for our money is basically for the research, the translational research that's been applied. And then the third thing is obviously management and lawyers and stuff like that.
And what's the plan for raising additional capital?
We are planning to go public, and that's where the additional capital will be raised.
Thomas Chen, founder and CEO and CSO of NeOnc. Thomas, thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you so much, Danny.
Thanks for listening. The Bio Report is a production of the Levine Media Group. To automatically download this podcast each week, subscribe to our RSS feed or through iTunes or other podcast manager. To join our mailing list, go to levinemediagroup.com. We'd love to hear from you. If you want to drop us a line or are interested in sponsoring this podcast, send an email to danny@levinemediagroup.com. Special thanks to Jonah Levine, who composed our theme music, and the Jonah Levine Collective, which performs it.